Hi, this is Bref and on this video we are going to take the connections that we downloaded from LinkedIn and cross-reference them with the previous week so that we can get the weekly unique connections which will be sent to Bref. So let's have a look in my folder, and your folder will look a little different. You won't have as many when you're starting off, but what we're going to do is actually get the connections from the previous week. So LinkedIn connection export 61317, which was last week's connection for me. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the connections. And once we open the connections, we are simply going to copy and paste just like this. So we'll actually have a look at the connections, just copy them, and then we're going to paste them right here into our Google Sheet. It'll just take a moment to do this, but when it does, it will paste in all of the connections from the previous week that we just copied in. Okay, so now we want to go to the connections that we've just downloaded, and let's have a look at them. So first of all, we want to make sure that the connections, that each of these columns here matches up. And so we'll have the first name, last name, email address, company, and position. And so let's have a look at the sheet here for these connections that have been exported. So generally when they're exported, they may contain some additional columns. So we simply want to go ahead and delete the connected and tagged columns, because we just want to have the first name, the last name, email address, company, and position. When we have this done, we simply want to go ahead and copy. Let's go back to the Google Sheet that we have, and we just want to go down to the bottom of the connections that we see here, and we'll go ahead. This will look different on, of course, a new account, but for this particular account, there's a lot of connections in here. So we simply want to paste, Control B, or right click and paste. And because there's a lot of connections, this is taking a moment, but this will actually paste in all of these connections. And here we go, it's pasted in all the connections. So now basically we've got last week's connections and this week's connections on the one sheet. And what we're going to do from here, we're actually going to find the unique connections. And so to do that, we actually use an add-on within Google Sheets called Remove Duplicates. So if you go to Google and Google for Google Chrome Remove Duplicates, it will bring us to this particular Google Chrome extension right here. And you just want to go ahead and install this and make sure that this works within your Google Sheets. So we've already got it installed here. And once you install it, you will have access to use this in Google Sheets. And when you do, you're going to want to maybe pause this video, go ahead and first of all get the extension. Then you go to, once you highlight everything, you go ahead to remove duplicates, and we're just going to click on this right here, find duplicates and uniques. And it'll take a moment to load, and then once it does, it will give us the option here. And this has selected all of the cell ranges, so that's fine. Now we really just want to go ahead and select next. And we want to make sure that we're selecting uniques, because this is what we want on a weekly basis. So once we get that, we just press next. And I find it most helpful in this situation to simply use the first name, last name, and email address. We want to make sure that we skip the empty cells, and yes, this table has headers. So once you've selected these options, we just press next. We want to make sure that we're copying to another location, which is the default, and to a new sheet, and then we press finish. It'll take a moment for this to load. And we'll see once it is finished loading and finding the uniques. In this particular instance, we have 87 unique values that have been found. So we just want to close that. And we'll see we've started off with the original sheet here, which in this case is called sheet 3, where we copied and we ran the add-on to find the uniques, and it generated a new sheet right here. So this is the sheet that contains the uniques, and it notified us that there was, I think, 87, so that is 87 when you include the header up here. So good, so now we have the uniques. Okay, so now in this particular instance, I like to do a quick scan and see if there's any duplicates. And I noticed that there still is. So here we'll see that there's a duplicate as Mara is included twice. And what I like to do is I like to run another process. So we'll just go ahead and do the add-on one more time to remove duplicates. Find duplicates or uniques. And in this particular case, we will go ahead, find the uniques. Now, so in this case, what I like to do is just to make sure that we have the email address and company are selected. And we'll go ahead, copy to another location on a new sheet and press finish. And we'll see that we now have 85 unique values have been found. So that should have removed any of the potential duplicates. So we can just close out here. I'm going to delete the first name and last name. But we'll see now that we do have the unique connections are included. And basically from here, what we're able to do is to go ahead and notify Bref once this is done. Okay, so an important part of the weekly connections that I wanted to include will be to make sure that we have the first names and the companies are what I'd like to call clean. So I will be including the first name within an email, and so we just want to make sure that there's no funny characters. In this particular instance, we're going to use, she prefers to be called Terry, that we can see from the brackets. So we'll have Terry. We want to make sure that it's just the first name, so this will be John. We want to make sure that the first name does include capital letters. And this is Kelly Renee, okay. And Dr. Matt, so that's going to be okay. So make sure that the names are all clean. The first name will be just Jody. This will be just Dr. Joshua. Dr. Martin. This would just be Austin. And so you'll just scroll down real quick through the first names just to make sure that they're all clean. Rudolph, we do not want to have all capitals, so we'll just retype that as R-U-D-O-L-P-H, Rudolph. And our first names are all clean. Now we want to go to the companies because that will be included as well. And we really just want to delete any reference to LLC or Inc. So we're just going to do that real quick. And we'll scroll down through all of these, or Co, we'll delete that, just to make sure that each of these is relevant. Atlantic Supply. Take off the Inc right here, the LLC. So any reference to Inc or LLC or Co would go. We just want to keep it in a similar format to as if we were speaking to somebody about their company. We would call it the Coalition of Hope Foundation. We wouldn't say the Coalition of Hope Foundation Inc. So real quick, we're going to delete these. This is the Phoenix Rising Hudson Falls Project Inc, aka, but we'll just make sure it's called the relevant name of the Phoenix Rising Hudson Falls Project. We're going to delete the rest of the LLCs that we see here in the company names. And so I think you get the idea. It's really going to be removing the Incs or LLCs. And then from there, at that stage, you'll go ahead and actually share the file with me. And the best way to get me the notification, we will have a process, but is to make sure that I have the shareable link to actually use this particular file right here. So we'll just go ahead and get the shareable link and make sure that I can also edit this link. And that link then you can just copy and paste to me, and I'll be able to have access to the unique connections on a weekly basis. And again, they should be received by me in Eastern time on Saturday, and so that would mean that you'll have to get them, if it is GMT plus 8, I would need you to send them before 11 p.m. on the Friday night. And that concludes this particular video training. in relation to getting the connections, the unique connections on a weekly basis from LinkedIn.